The waves are beginning to die down. Look at those little bastards. Simmer down. Simmer down, bastards. Oh, that's good to know, I guess. Why is it in the sea? Wasn't feeling it. That calls for a funeral, if you ask me. Hi. Feels deserved, don't you think? Falling in the line of duty like that and all? Why odd? Our things are a part of our life world. They're made with our human sweat and they share human history. We should care about them as we care about humans. To some extent, at least. Oh yeah? You won't even be able to get it out of the water before early June. And where are you going to bury it? Who to invite? What music to play at the wake? Take it from someone who's been through a few funerals. It's easiest to just leave them there and let nature take care of it.
That's all we have time for right now anyway. Come back here in June and see how you feel about it then. It's not like it's going anywhere. Yes, that is a pity. But for now, let's focus on the things we do get to do. Like the murder investigation, for example.
You like the Capri funeral idea? A familiar apparatus lies among the reeds, another one of Morel's traps, weighed down by stones to keep it in place. The reeds bend forlornly toward the sand. Some tufts have been crushed. Snow covers the broken stalks like a shroud. In the east, the city centre hums to you. The constant, distant song, louder on this part of the coast, nearer somehow. And there's that cold again, always the cold. This trap is also full of panicked locusts. No sign of any cryptozoological beast inside.
Another empty trap. Always up for a good jog. Otherwise, would I still be on this case with you?
Our tenant, the policeman. I hope the waves don't keep you up at night. What can I help you with? I can wash it for you. But it's going to take about a half an hour. Think you can stay put for that long?
Hell yeah.
I could use a breather. It's been another track and field day.
Well, hand it over then, and I'll see what I can do. Must say, I'm proud of this one. It's pretty nice underneath all that filth. I hope you'll have an easier life in your hands.
This is the trap Morel just set. Checking it over, he said, is just a technicality. But the reeds by the abandoned campsite hiss and shake. It's good the cryptozoologists left. This isn't a very cozy place to stay night after night. The later it gets, the colder. Remnants of the camp can still be seen in the sand. The fire that's gone out. You feel strange, somehow. Nothing but locusts in this trap as well. Definitely no cryptozoological monstrosity.
Empty as all of them. One more of these and we're done. No, I'm fine. I didn't mean to complain, it's just...
It takes you a moment, but finally, behind you, the ruins of a residential building. The trap feels light and silent as you pick it up. Something is different here. No locusts.
Well, the bait worked on something. This doesn't mean it was a reed monster, though. Unless you see one in there. I just see an empty trap.
The netting is a little untidy, messier than the others. Like someone or something picked up the trap and shook it before dropping it back down on the ground.
Perhaps our cryptozoologists have competition in the form of an actual entomologist, or someone else is sabotaging them. I could present more theories, but then I would be taking this on as a case, which I'm not. We did sort of promise to tell them, didn't we?
A scattering of bullet holes is spread across the cracked wall, reaching from one corner to the other. A scattering of bullet holes is spread across the cracked wall, reaching from one corner to the other. Unable to piece together the big picture just now, there's a hole in their hypothesis. The scattering of bullet holes looks like one giant smiling mouth, smiling its deadly smile.
Oh, sweetie, I don't even know how to thank you for finding my husband and helping him out. I hope we haven't been too much trouble for you.
I knew it.
Well, in that case, sweetie, let me give you a small token of my gratitude. It's a tie, Mesk in origin. The pin is an antique, quite special to the cryptozoological community.
The little silvery knob holding the tie together feels warm in your hand. It's in the shape of an avian skull with 8 eyes. You could ask her about this when you get the time. It's probably a cryptid, but the phasmid, of course, is more important.
Oh, you don't want to hear about some old woman's ramblings.
Ramblings? Nonsense. Your description of the phasmid is the most precise I've ever heard.
But darling, I didn't even get the size of it right.
You were a child, my dear. Really. It's extraordinary what you were able to describe. Now go on. Tell our friend about it. He's proven his interest in the field.
Reflexively, the lieutenant read his familiar notebook.
Well, it was summer. I was building a racing track out of sand on the beach near a tall stand of reeds. Quite a tall one. Many times my height, I remember. When, all of a sudden... I'm getting ahead of myself. I was 5.5 in Betancourt in the suburbs. My grandmother had a summer home there. The strangest moment of my life. I looked up and one of the reeds moved. Not like a plant, but like a living thing. It stood up and looked at me. Its body unfolded like some antique toy. I've never seen anything like it. I didn't know this can happen, so I reached my arm and touched the thing. It felt just like a stalk of reed, but it moved, swaying, towering above me. After a while, 20 seconds, a minute maybe, it left, went into the reeds. I tried, but I was only a child. There was mud and high water. I couldn't see it anymore. I was just standing there, knee-deep in mud, looking around me.
Where did you go? Don't go.
I ran back home to my grandmother and asked her if reeds could walk, and told her they were looking at me. Of course, she just laughed at me, but I knew what I'd seen. For years, it was a story I told at parties when I wanted to impress boys. That sort of thing. Of course, most people just took it as a strange, amusing anecdote. So did I, honestly. But then I met Morel.
We were on a date. Can you imagine? She tells me a story, and it's the most detailed report of the Insulindian phasmid I've ever heard. The sounds. She told me it hissed.
So that's how they met. This is beyond significant for them.
It did, yes. Like reeds in a gust of wind.
The way it moved, the colour, how some of its limbs were white, like marble. It matched perfectly with what I know from other accounts. It was amazing. If it weren't for Lena, I might have given up hope years ago. It's no exaggeration to say that she restored my faith in my profession.
Our first, yes.
Not all of them. There is some white coloration reported, along with beige, where the camouflage ends.
It's hard to say how big things are when you're quite small yourself. To me, it seemed to be taller than I was then, but that's probably not the case.
How could she? Who imagines this? She didn't know about the phasmid. This is the main thing here, what makes it a confirmed sighting. She had no previous knowledge of the insect.
That's true, yes. I'm almost certain neither my mother nor my grandmother knew of it. It was only when I started telling my story as a teenager that boys would tell me, Lena, you trying to tell us you saw the Insulindian phasmid out there in those reeds? Get out of here. They just give me a cider and ruffle my hair and tell me to stop dreaming. But I saw it.
I thought it was a wonderful story, ma'am.
You're welcome, sweetie. I do appreciate the chance to relive it whenever I get one. It was just such an impossibly sunshiny day. So warm.
And she could get up and walk right into the reeds on her own, into the mud, anywhere. There's really no point in manipulating anyone. She'd be only too pleased to tell you about her work. Go on and ask.
Oh, I'd be delighted. Truth be told, I could really use the company too.
One cryptid, not a couple. One. This won't turn into some kind of cryptid extravaganza. And I don't. Just one.
Or he'll be disappointed in you. Ooh, tough choice there.
No, it's the cryptid. Oh, yes. The eight-eyed teratorn, the largest flying avian ever discovered, with a wingspan of 11.5 meters. It was thought to have gone extinct 3,500 years ago. Some even doubted the fossils were real. A mutation, they said. Until...
Mutation? All of evolution is a mutation.
Until it was sighted by renowned Gottwaldian explorer and naturalist Uwe Plattenkalk in 21.
This renown seems a bit dubious. Your own catalogue comes up completely empty. But, of course, you are not all-knowing.
It happened on a botanical expedition into the vast and unexplored Oamrau Canyon in southeast Ilmara. Dr. Plattenkalk got separated from his group during a sandstorm. Alone in the blasted desert heat, the doctor wandered eastward, where man hasn't stepped foot in over 1,000 years, since the fall of Pericarnassus. He was lost, without any navigation equipment and desperately low on water. After a day or two, he noticed a bird high in the noon sky. A great black bird, it seemed gargantuan. Every now and then, the bird would dive down to feed on an animal carcass somewhere on the horizon. But by the time Uwe got there, the teratorn had taken off already, and the carcass was picked clean. This happened many times. Yes, or rather, hunting. A bird that big has a lot of blood in it, and he was dying of thirst. For many days, Dr. Plattenkalk followed the Tetatorn until they reached a great canyon wall where the bird finally landed to rest. The professor climbed up there with a rock in his hand. He found the bird sleeping with his head tucked under its wing, a great black pile of feathers on the perch. So he approached, slowly squeezing the rock in his fist.
Watch out.
Then the Tetatorn suddenly looked at him. He could see it had 8 eyes, 4 on either side of its skull, like a spider. And the man couldn't move. He was paralyzed, frozen into place with the rock in his hand. Whatever he did, he could not get closer to the bird. The bird was controlling his mind. It kept him from approaching. He could step back. Every time he stepped forward, paralysis. Uva spent 3 days trying until the bird flew away. The 8-eyed Tetatorn was indifferent to him, as long as he didn't get closer than 2 steps. It even let him feed on some carcasses up there, and the 2 unfertilized eggs it left behind. Absolutely, sweetie. Cryptozoologists have been tracing it ever since, but Wamrao is vast, mysterious, and holds many secrets.
Modern radar telemetry shows great promise. We will confirm this one by the end of the decade, latest.
This one I liked. Not only does it have 8 eyes, and is a living fossil, and the largest bird ever to live, it also does mind control.
Sadly, yes, but there are numerous reports of 8-eyed bird skulls from Il Mara. And then there's the striking resemblance to the Pericarnassian imperial eagle, an ancient heraldic symbol that is hard to pass off as coincidence. The imperial eagle, too, had 8 eyes.
Very, very hard.
This one's very famous. Everyone knows it. People will be looking at that tie on you and thinking, that man is into cryptids. So, what else do you want to know? Yes, it's the kind green ape. Half war story, half undiscovered species in the genus Homo. Yes, it was reported by soldiers in South Safra during the war. The kind green ape would visit bunkers during the night, healing wounded soldiers with its saliva. Yes, it has amazing healing qualities. Some soldiers reported growing back limbs, regaining their sight. Indeed, there is. It's our closest relative among the cryptids. Same taxonomic family, different genus. Which is to say, the kind green ape is a species with which we share a common ancestor and that evolved parallel to our own. Just like your partners.
Ma'am, you are confusing him.
Please don't misunderstand me, either of you. Human, as it is used in everyday speech, is hardly a taxonomic category. For all intents and purposes, you can be thought of as human. Though Saheelites do have some distinguishing characteristics. Different advantages, if you will.
Yes, advantages such as the flakier texture of Saheelite earwax, or so I've heard. Nothing inspires pride in one species quite like speculative evolutionary biology. Perhaps we've had enough of that for today.
Of course, dear.
I was just thinking, what a nice day for questions pertaining to a murder investigation.